We are the Liberty Intelligence Organization Network.
And this is our news recap show. I am your host. You can call me the captain. And basically what I did in the last one, this is a special report, by the way, and I didn't get a chance to tell you all what it's about, but it's about the barriers, the final barriers against the globalist takeover. Now what I really wanted to remind people about in the last segment here, so this is really like the final conclusion and analysis of the Bill of Rights, and I'm really going to get into the first and the second one, mainly the second one because that one really protects the first one, because the first one can't protect itself without some meat to back up the bone. You get it? You know, you can have free speech, but what happens when you say something that somebody doesn't like and they get upset and want to beat you down for it, and they happen to have a weapon? Well, you ought to have a weapon of your own just in case that happens. And that's really what the Second Amendment is about, and that's why I call them barriers. It's a barrier to protect you as an individual against whatever the enemy happens to be. You know, I always hear it's either about hunting for the people who are against it, or if it's about tyranny, oh, that'll never happen, a government will never take over. Well, forget it. It's about whatever, whether it be a crazy government, whether it be, the criminal down the street, whether it be an angry, lover that your wife has that you don't even know about, whatever the case may be, someone trying to do physical harm to you, you should have the means to protect yourself. Whether it be an alien invasion where the government gets destroyed, they send out space aliens and destroy all the army bases and there's no more army left. How are you going to defend yourself if the army is the only people with guns? The aliens win. Total global conquest. Maybe it's an alien agenda. Maybe it's not a New World Order agenda. Maybe we're wrong. Well, I'm actually going to get into some of that hopefully later in this segment. But I wanted to start off by talking about the Founding Fathers and some of the stuff, because whenever you talk about these liberty ideals, and I went over the Bill of Rights, people always try to demonize these ideas by saying, oh, the Founding Fathers had slaves, so everything they believed is wrong. No. They believed in freedom, and they even put down regulations when to end slavery in the Constitution. So they knew what was going on, but they understood the economy of the day couldn't just be wiped clean like that. I mean, if they did that, America would have been destroyed, because it would have had no stable food economy, no stable growing economy to compete with the rest of the world, because they still had slaves in Europe. And I mean, that's what we got to understand with China. Think about today. China has slave labor. Nobody in the world can compete with that. That's why everyone's going to China. You understand that? That's why they had the system they did in the past, because it was slavery worldwide. And it wasn't just racial slavery like they want you to believe. It was total slavery for everybody. Injustice and enslavement for all. That's the old world system. Like I've said sometimes, it's the old world system they're trying to recreate, this imperial king, God king control where they dictate what you believe and what you do. And that's the agenda. It's the old world system with new world technology to watch you and to control you and to make sure you do what you're told. And that's why they call it a new world order. It's the old world order with new world technology. It's a new world order. So that's why they call it that. But let me get back into it. I digressed there, away from what I wanted to talk about. Now, the Founding Fathers, a lot of them were Masons. You got to keep that in mind, because the Masons are tied in to all this crazy New World Order stuff, and I'm going to get into that in the next segment. But I want to lead off with this, that in 1776 is when the Illuminati, the official Illuminati, they were a real secret society, not just, based off the movies or whatever, the Da Vinci Code and crap like that. They were a real secret society that started in the Kingdom of Bavaria and eventually spread out through all of Europe, into the Middle East, into Northern Africa, eventually spread all over the world. And they had this agenda to infiltrate other secret societies like the Masons, to infiltrate powerful governments, to infiltrate corporate interests, to infiltrate media interests. They had this total control. It's their plan, total control, infiltrate all sources. Well, it turns out, if you actually do some research, back in 1776, the Freemasons that were part of founding the United States of America, at the time of its founding, whether or not they were eventually led astray afterwards, at the time of the founding, when they created the documents that ensured this country's ideals of liberty, they understood that there was this Illuminist group. They called them the Illuminists, this Illuminati. They used to say, you know, we understand that the Masonic lodges in Europe are being infiltrated by, you know, and they would write letters to each other saying, you know, did you hear about the Illuminati? They're sneaking into the Masons and changing what the stonemason ideals are all about. And that's what the Masons originally were, was a stonemason guild from way back when. Now, that all sort of relates into what I'm talking about, too. But regardless, people are going to try to use this to demonize the Founding Fathers. Now, I want to end on something with this segment. Let me do a time check. Well, I just want to end this little brief talk right here, because the segment's still going to go on, and I'm going to get into the Second Amendment, some in-depth analysis of it, really just some ranting about how people should start to see the Second Amendment and all of the Bill of Rights. It is your protection. It protects you from the government making laws against it. And I always hate to use that term. People call it the government. It's the New World Order. You know, a sane, loving government would not make laws that infringe upon a person's liberty. A sane, working, normal government would not do that. But an insane, imperial-controlled New World Order would infringe upon your rights as an individual. So, you know, I wanted to explain that, and that the Founding Fathers knew that this secret organization was coming in. And one of the Founding Fathers, actually have a quote. I have a book of quotes. And I actually have a quote from John Quincy Adams, I think, and he said, you know, he eventually came to realize that Freemasonry was being infiltrated in the USA, and that they would eventually be able to use their secret knowledge to take control, again, of the colonies. Because it's really, the British Empire is the heart and soul of the New World Order. The United States is the fist and the muscle to crush the enemy. The New World Order is different things in different parts of the world, as Henry Kissinger once said. So they knew that they were breaking in, and John Quincy Adams said, you know, I think Freemasonry ought to be abolished. We ought to do away. We ought to make secret societies illegal in the United States of America, because he knew that the secret Illuminati, and in Bavaria, the story that they want to teach you is that in Bavaria, the king found out about this. The king found out about the Illuminati plan, and he deemed all secret societies illegal in Bavaria, and the Illuminati were destroyed. But the Illuminati had already infiltrated outside of Bavaria. They were all over Europe. They had gotten into corporate, you know, industries. They were in banking. They weren't in just the Kingdom of Bavaria. So the mainstream story of the Illuminati is that in Bavaria they all got wiped out. But it's not true. They broke out. They were all over the world. The Roman Catholic Church. They snuck into everything. Except here, the Liberty Intelligence Organization Network, because it's just me and the co-founder. And the co-founder hasn't even made a video yet, so it's just me at the moment. Let me do another time check. Yeah, I'm running out of time here, but I just basically want to get that so that you understand that the Masons that the Founding Fathers were part of was pre-Illuminati infiltration. It was, and even if there was certain aspects of Illuminati infiltration, not all the Founding Fathers were Masons. And they didn't impart all of this Masonic worship stuff into the original founding. You got to understand, they didn't build the Washington, D.C. of today that people say has the pentagram in it, and it does. But they didn't build that Washington, D.C. until after, really until after 1812. But not fully until after the Civil War. So you have to understand that it's been a gradual build-up. It's not like they popped Washington, D.C. out just like it is today back then. It wasn't lined out like that. It wasn't. All George Washington lined out was the edges. That's all he did. He didn't line out every street. He didn't do all that. Someone else did all that. And then, you know, regardless of what their belief structure was. But enough defending the Founding Fathers. Let me just end this segment here. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and this is really just like a final analysis of the Bill of Rights, just so you can understand how they try to demonize it through propaganda. So thanks for tuning in, and as always, I want to remind everyone, stay safe, stay strong, stay free, and stay informed.